Nikon just announced a new Z8 camera, and it's really a great camera, and I wanted to give you my view about how this compares against cameras like the Sony A7R5 and also in some regards with the Sony A1, the Sony A9 II. And I want to be very honest about this. I think the Z8 is a superb hybrid camera that really competes well against Sony and Canon cameras, and probably it will also win over many Nikon photographers that didn't want to buy the Z9 because it's too big and more expensive than the Z8. So the Z8 really is the jack of all trades. It can win over Nikon shooters, but also not Nikon shooters that want a perfect hybrid camera. And if that was the goal of Nikon, they certainly delivered it. And as you know, I'm very honest about reviewing my Sony gear and about complaining also about them when something doesn't work. So let's say it straight, the Z8 is a great camera, but I want to give you my quick focus about his camera compares with the A7R5, and there are some pros and cons. The first pro of the Z8 is that it uses a much faster stacked sensor unlike the A7R5. This means that Z8 can shoot 20 fps compared to the 10 fps of the A7R5. It also can record 8K 60p unlike the 8K 30p of the A7R5. So if having top video quality along top stills quality is what matters to you, the Nikon Z8 certainly has an edge here. The Nikon Z8 also has better ergonomics in my opinion. Because of the larger body, it can fit a top LCD screen, the buttons are bigger. If you use it outdoor with gloves, it will be easier to handle. But there are of course some advantages also on the A7R5, because being more compact, it means it's easier to carry around with you. It also weighs less, around nearly 200 grams less, and this may matter to you. So I'm actually okay with the size. I just wish one day Sony would give us two options of A7R5 or A1 or other cameras. Compact A7R-like body option, but also a more DSLR bigger body option with top LCD screen, something they had in the A-mount with the A9 II series, which was very great in terms of ergonomics. So let's see if Sony will listen to me one day. That said, there are still some points where the A7R5 is ahead, and some of those points really do matter for me. Like for example the EVF. The Z8 features a 3.7 million dot EVF, while the A7R5 has 9.4 million dot EVF, so nearly 3 times the resolution, and that really makes a difference because I used EVF with 3-point-something million dots before, and the difference is really huge. So if you want to use the EVF like I'm doing all the time, probably that would be one of the reasons why I would still go for the A7R5 instead of the Z8, if you really don't want to have that ultimate video quality the Z8 can deliver. Another very important point is that the Sony autofocus system still is ahead of the Nikon autofocus system. It also has 200 more autofocus points. So if ultimate autofocus performance matters to you, Sony is still the leader in the game. And another very important point for me as a photographer is that the A7R5 has both the mechanical and the electronic shutter, while the Z8 only has the electronic shutter. And why does this matter for me? Is because I saw that the electronic shutter on all cameras, Sony, Nikon, Canon, can give sometimes artifacts, and some images really are distorted and you can throw them away. That's why I really shoot with mechanical shutter, only because I want to be sure that the image I am shooting right now will be good and not a miss. So as a photographer, definitely mechanical shutter is a must. As a photographer, I still would choose the A7R5 over the Nikon Z8, mainly because of the two reasons: the mechanical shutter and the EVF. I don't use autofocus a lot, but if autofocus is something that you would that matters for you, of course, then also in that case the A7R5 is ahead. Two minor points in favor of the A7R5. First of all, it's $100 cheaper. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but it's cheaper. And also the resolution on the A7R5 is higher with 61 megapixel versus the 45. In reality, the difference is really small. So if ultimate resolution is really important for you, then of course you go for the A7R5. So as you see, when it comes to the comparison between the Z8 and the Sony A7R5, I think that as a stills photographer, I still would prefer the A7R5. While if video quality would be very important for me, so if I really want to have both great stills and great video, then the Z8 has probably the edge. I think overall the Z8 is more of a competitor of the A1 in some aspects, while the A1, the Sony A1, is still ahead in terms of FPS, 30 FPS versus 20 FPS, and also autofocus, where the A1 is still the leader. I think the Z8 is really close to it. It's $2,500 less. If you really don't need that 10 FPS more and that's edge in autofocus, then the Z8 is definitely the better buy. So I hope that Sony will somehow make a more affordable A1 version with the A9 III. That would be probably the real competitor of the Z8, and of course we can expect a new A1 II coming likely in 2024, and then Sony will really have to create a quite stunning camera to justify that price grab. So this was my very quick comparison between the Z8, the A7R5 and the A1 A9 II. As a summary, to be honest, I'm really happy to have my A7R5 in my hands. I don't feel like I'm missing out something not owning a Z8 or a Canon camera. I think this is really for my kind of photography the perfect dream camera. So I will leave it to that. That's it as of today. If I have some new rumors coming for the next Sony cameras and also Canon and Nikon cameras, I will post it on this channel. So please again subscribe and hit the notification button, and I see you soon.